All right, hey YouTube. Whew, it's early in the morning. I'm walking to work today. I actually feel pretty great because last night I didn't get to bed quite the time I wanted to. I wanted about 8 hours of sleep, which would have been 9:30. I got to bed a little closer to 10:30. That's when I was actually in bed laying down. And then from that, it still took a while before I actually fell asleep. But I just laid there and thought as the rest of my body relaxed. I changed positions a little bit here and there on my side, my tummy, my back, just a little bit. And yeah, then I did eventually fall asleep. I also took some melatonin strips, which I don't think are working properly because they're a little bit old. Talk about those later on. But yeah, overall, I was able to wake up around 5:30. Gave me time to get dressed, grab some breakfast, and head out the door. I need to be to work by 7:30, so that it gives me an hour to leave by 6:30. Anyways, I wanted to quickly talk about scene detection on smartphones. If you're not familiar with this, and I think some digital cameras are getting this ability too. I'm not sure though. My Sony HX99 down there in its case, I don't think it has scene detection. It has like auto mode that automatically makes things nice, but I don't know what the AI is doing and if it's exactly the same as scene detection. Because on your smartphone, scene detection is going to be like, oh, hey, you're looking at an animal. It's probably, a picture of a pet or something that you're trying to take. Or you're looking at a plant. Here's a person. Here's this other scene. Oh, you're looking at food. And it will optimize to make that item look the best that it can. So, that's cool. I always thought, yeah, that's cool. But kind of sort of, why do we need it? Well, I found a case that I think would be actually best use for scene detection. Because, my camera is going to make most of those objects, my good camera, Sony HX99, it's going to make most of those objects look pretty good with auto mode. But there are still some things that it can't do with auto mode. And I don't know all of the details because I haven't really tried a lot. But let's wind the clock back 4 years. I'm working at a pizza shop, and my current camera is the, not the predecessor, because I think that means the one coming afterwards. But this is the Sony HX99. My current camera was the Sony HX90V, the one just before this. And they're almost identical. So, but anyways, I was trying to take a picture of the moon. Because that night, for whatever reason, I liked how it looked on the dark sky and it was beautiful. And I'm in auto mode, I'm zoomed in, trying to take pictures, but then I get this weird halo around the moon that I don't see in real life. And part of that's because of my camera settings. I don't remember if I had to ask a friend or if I... what's the word? I don't remember if I had to ask a friend or if I figured it out myself. But ultimately, in that case, it's time to pick your settings. And so basically, you can lower your ISO some so that there's less grain. And then if you hold really still and the moon's not moving a lot, which it's not moving a super huge amount, then you can also pick a somewhat small aperture. Where it's closed, not small number, but somewhat small aperture to get everything crispy and in focus. Because remember, small closed lens aperture, which is a bigger number on the scale, is less light coming in, but everything crispy and in focus. And then a bigger wide open aperture, which is a smaller number, is more light coming in, but a shallower depth of field, more of your foreground objects. So you can do that, and if you're on a tripod especially, then you can also adjust your shutter speed very long, which is kind of sort of a smaller number, but that one makes sense because we're talking like a shutter speed of 120, that's milliseconds. So that one makes sense. So you can adjust those things and get it just right. If you're on a tripod, there's not going to be any motion blur from your hands to worry about. And you can get a pretty good picture of the moon. without that, ring around it. Now, if we go contrast, about a month or so ago, I went over quickly and showed my friend how to use the camera that I gave him. This is Ammon from the channel Total Fusion. So, yeah. Cool thing, I was able to show him how to use that, but he wanted to actually capture a slight halo around the moon because there was one there. So I told him to, turn up the brightness and get that. And one thing too, our eyes have slightly better dynamic range than these cameras do. I've been meaning to actually look up and research this because I'm kind of curious about this. But anyways, in this case, I didn't say it then, but what he could have done is, what's the word? He could have taken the picture and then adjusted and taken another picture so you got the halo, but then you capture another picture where you get the, one second, I am about to cross the street. So then you take another picture where you get, because with the halo, then you're kind of washing out the craters and stuff on the moon. So you take your halo picture, and then you take a picture of the moon's surface, and then you merge the two in photo editing as best you can. And then you've got a good image of both. Kind of a double exposure take, mixing together. I believe that's what HDR does on our phones. I don't know if my camera has HDR. I remember back when I was looking at apps for my Sony HX99, because it has access to the Play Memories camera app store, which I think they're getting rid of. I'm not sure how I feel about that, because for a lot of people it meant they didn't have time-lapse on their cameras, whereas older models did, because you could install it from the store. But the thing that bugged me is there was an app that would let you do a double exposure, and the example they gave is a grassy field down the bottom half of the photo and a really bright sky with clouds on the top half. And it was for photos only, not video, which I was cool with, but I thought that'd be really cool to have. But it wasn't for my camera, which that puzzled me, because I don't see why my camera couldn't do that. I don't know, maybe the processor inside isn't as good. Maybe it would take it a little bit longer to compute that, but I just think why couldn't my camera do it? I don't know. It wasn't available. So something like that could be useful for my camera. But back to the moon thing. Scene detection would be great for that if it can identify that you're shooting the moon. Which, is the moon out in the sky right now? I see one star that you guys probably wouldn't be able to see, or it wouldn't look good anyways. I don't see the moon right now, but actually I see two stars. Okay. Sun's coming up. Hold on. There you go, sun's coming up. Anyways, yeah, so it could be very useful for the moon situation, because it can identify, oh, this is the moon. Even though the image is relatively dark with something somewhat bright in the middle, I should probably lower exposure settings and whatnot to get a picture of the bright moon. Because taking pictures of the moon, stars in the sky, my experience is the camera says, wow, everything's dark. I need to really brighten things up a bit, when it actually doesn't. There we go, we got 30 minutes till work, and I'm about halfway there, so we're good. Because it takes me about 41 minutes to walk to work. That's what Google says, and Google's actually right. But sometimes there are some other things that happen, traffic and whatnot, not much, but we're doing good. So, scene detection is useful for those few instances where the automatic mode doesn't work. And it could have even more implications beyond that. You know, like, I can see maybe a picture of a bunch of trees could do with a little more sharpening to define the lines of the branches, rather than you might not want as much sharpening on a selfie of you and your friends. I don't know. I'm not a photography expert, but it's something that I thought about, and I just realized that this morning, that scene detection would be good for the picture of the moon, especially for people who don't know camera settings and they just try and take a picture of it. That's one thing that's great about scene detection. You can turn it off if you don't like it on most smartphones, I believe, but with it there, it makes things that much easier, and kind of reiterates on a point. So there was a video I watched years ago, back when I was still using my red Sony Handycam, the DCR SR68 non-HD camera, which after I got it on closeout sale, Mom bought it for me, and I'd used it for a while, and the quality wasn't super great. I read online somewhere, I think it was CNET, a review of it, said that a lot of people wished they had spent the, I don't know how much, I want to say like $50 extra or something. They wish they had spent $50 extra and gotten the HD model, because it looks nicer. But I watched a review of that type of camera, the handheld camcorder type, versus, it was comparing it to a DSLR, I think. I don't remember. And one key feature of the Handycam was it had a flashlight on the front, a little LED light that could be a video light, where the other one didn't. And that ties into what the guy said. I would totally link him in the description if I could remember what his channel was, but I can't. Have to see if it's in my history. Probably not. But the big thing that he took away from this was that the Handycam is really good for your running around the house, shooting videos and maybe pictures of your family. It does a pretty good job at keeping things in focus and exposed, and all of those things that make a picture looking pretty good. It does a good job of keeping them that way and makes it nice and easy, especially when you're considering, and I think back then DSLRs didn't have as many auto features. They weren't as good at the automatic stuff as they were at the you pick your settings and dial everything in right with your photography knowledge. But it was really good at that. And that's something that's very important, especially when you're considering the filming family reunions and kids running around the house having fun. Because on a film, there's a lot of stuff that they will, block out and practice. Like, no way I would have had enough people to do this for Airborne Death, or the time, or knowledge. But a lot of times they do focus pull, where the focus is manual, and you walk through the shot, and then you say, okay, we got a guy next to the camera adjusting our focus ring. He needs to... So when we're standing here, the ring needs to be here. And you walk through the scene, and you adjust your focus for that. For Airborne Death, I did automatic focus. Only things I modified were ISO, aperture, and shutter speed. I'll be talking about those in a video at some point. But you actually mark that stuff out and sometimes modify it during your shot, really, because you know what you want. You know how that shot's going to go. But you have no idea what your family and friends are going to do in just every day-to-day life. So for vlog stuff now, and just recording your kids' cute videos for later, for memories, you don't know what's going to happen. So you'll probably want something that's not so much locked down. And even right now, there's a lot of changing light on me and all these things. So I don't want this shot to be locked down so much. 1 second. Yeah. I want this shot to be able to dynamically change based on the light that's available to my smartphone camera. So, manual mode is great. There are a lot of cases where it can get better than what automatic can, or sometimes it gets more of what we're seeing, which is a big thing for me. I try and have something the way I see it in real life, less so poppy, fun, and colorful. Like, the example that sticks in my head is one of my older Sony cameras had a little point and shoot WX650, I think. I'm not positive. Just a little red point and shoot camera. Not on the same level as the Sony HX99, because this is like a $400 camera. That one was more like, I don't know, $200 camera. But tried to take a picture of the carpet or the rug in my room. It made all the colors bright and colorful and popping, and I didn't like that. They were a lot more dull and drab in real life. Excuse me. So yeah, manual mode has its place. I think it will always have its place, especially when you consider getting things looking the way that you want, which might not be automatic mode. Because there is a specific goal automatic mode's going for, and it might not be what you're looking for. But I think it's good that we are developing AI scene detection on cameras, especially going back to the moon example and other examples where things are kind of dark and the camera would normally try and brighten up and expose, but you might not want it to. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked this topic, leave a like down below. Be sure to check out the other Let's Talks that I've done on various topics over the years. This was live, by the way, so no editing here, just me talking, straight, pure, unedited thoughts. Check out the other stuff I do on the channel if you're new around here. I do a variety of stuff, and if you like what you see, then consider subscribing. If you do subscribe, make sure you click the bell icon, because some of my videos get 0 views, because, yeah, nobody's getting notified.